Third tries the charm. So I do history because I like it. You know, there weren't a lot of bright spots in my childhood, but there was one moment where I was debating with my mother's third husband about the authority that Queen Elizabeth I may or may not have had, and he thought I was right. He was right because he was taller than me, and I thought I was right because I'd read books on it. I still say I was right, and that's the absolute beauty about history. It's not about who you are or how tall you are or how much authority you have over someone else. What ends up being right is what you can find in the documents and what's right. It's it was this epiphanal moment in my childhood where I realized that there were powers greater than the adults in my life. It was a really good moment. I liked it. Nowadays, goodness, since I discovered public history at the end of my bachelor's degree, I realized that a lot of the stories that I write are actually works of public history. With Gail and Jack being my favorite and my biggest endeavor, it's they're a couple of gay guys. Gail is an Irish gangster in New York, and Jack was a very, very sweet choir boy Baptist from Kansas who came to New York to finish his residency and become a doctor. But they meet in the train station where Gail was actually out picking pockets, though he denied it. And I followed their story from 1915 through 1974. So we get to go through, World War One, World War Two, Vietnam, and goodness, women getting the vote and prohibition. Gail is going to not like prohibition at all. The Spanish flu, of course, and I have so much research to do on that. But there's little things that in that kind of a story I can bring, like the first time they get a TV and what that means to the family, or listening to the fireside chats in the 1930s and who gets to vote and the internal arguments over whether, you know, Jack's wife is allowed to vote or not. And she votes because Jack's wife is actually Gail's sister, and there isn't a power on earth that could tell her what to do. Um, well, they could try, but it wouldn't work. I also, in that story, I get to explore what it's like when a child that you love gets polio. And eventually, as the story goes on long enough, what the introduction of the polio vaccine means. And hopefully, I will write the story in such a way that, people are very attached. Readers will be very attached to Gail and Jack and their family. And so it will be like living through the events of history. And whether or not I ever get a great following with that, I it's an awful lot of fun for me. It is why I get up and why I keep living. And that's a good thing to have. I do history because I really like it. I'm trying to learn Sanskrit right now. Sanskrit is hard. The alphabet is very, very pretty, but it's still hard. Also, the photo, the image at the beginning of this little video was a picture of Gail and Jack that I commissioned by my favorite artist, Cupid Anorak. And 10 seconds left to go. I do history so that I can find the answers to why we still have racism and why we don't have universal health care and just a ton of questions. We'll never run out of questions to ask.